So closing sales, and not just closing them, but making sure they're as profitable as possible, and trying our very, very best to close them more often. Walter will be in the background and help me with the chat and a few other things. We will cover over 30 ideas on how to improve your closing ratio. We're going to make your sales more profitable today. And we're going to look at 3 things in particular. We're going to look at the main reasons a lot of people, including me in the past, think it's hard to close a sale. And we're going to look at that mindset and see if we can change some of those paradigms so it's a bit easier for us to make progress. We're going to talk about and work on how and when it is best to close a sale so that we can discover some better approaches. Walter, have you still got your microphone on?
Yeah.
Thank you. And we're going to cover a number of practical closing questions that will work, that do work, and have worked repeatedly for me. Typical closing questions. If you've done the work so far, so well in the discovery phase, and we've confirmed and closed on all of those issues, then really this part is easy. And a good close still is a fair and reasonable request at a fair and reasonable time. We still got to take the decision maker through their next step in the buying process. Don't go too fast, don't go too far. But when you think about the request you're going to make, idealistically in the pre-call planning stage, think about the answers to those 2 questions. Now, forgive me if the next step that you ask somebody to take is obviously sensible and adds relevant value, relevant to them, regardless of whether they become a customer in the end, then 99 times out of 100, I think they're going to say yes, because it's a no-brainer. And our thought processes are far more about our requests than the fancy questions that we have to ask. You don't need fancy questions if you put the thought into the diagnosis and you put the thought into the recommendation. But to give you an example, here's my favorite trial closing question. Based on what you've heard so far, what are some of the questions you'd like to have answered before we go ahead? And normally that's enough to get us a reaction. And the vast majority of the time, my closing ratios bounces between 70 and 80%. And most of the time, people say, not sure, Bob. And that's it, we can go ahead. Occasionally, they throw up a question.